one thing. I think we should make, even before we start, for the people who don't know Tommy May,
Well,
okay?
yeah, well, we're not. they
Just
won't be sitting
informally, so
off the
we
dais.
start, because he's newly elected board member, I just think for anybody who don't know him. You know, right there.
Sure do. May. I introduced myself.
Good? All right. So this is a public meeting of the Board of Education, Clark Public Schools. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with PL 1975, Chapter 231. The special notice was made in conformance with Section 13 of the Act. Can we please rise for the pledge of the flag? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will now read the election results from November 5th, 2024 election. Top three voters, vote getters rather, was Thomas May, 4,555, Robert Smorl, 4,525, and Dino Messingo, 4,603. The other individuals who received some votes was Jared Price, 1,517, Patrick O'Toole, 1,132, and there were actually 115 write-ins. Will the new elected board members please stand? A smart statement. We can all read in unison. Whenever you guys are ready, ready, 1, 2, 3.
I, Robert Small, solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and to the governments established in the United States and this state, under authority of the people, so help me God.
I,
I,
Thomas
Robert
J.
Small,
May,
Jr.,
solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of member of the Board of Education, and that I am not disqualified as a voter pursuant to RS 19:4-1, nor disqualified due to conviction of crime or offense listed in NJS 18A 12-1, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Thank you, gentlemen. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I will now have a roll call. Ms. Apollonis.
Here.
Mr. Messingo.
Here.
Mr. Breedy.
Here.
Ms. Harrison.
Here.
Ms. Guerrero.
Here.
Ms. Higgins. Mr. Lewis. Here. Mr. May.
Present.
Mr. Smurl.
Here.
And Mr. Duncan.
Here.
Have 11 board members. We have a quorum. Can we have a motion to go into executive session? Ms. Apollonis. Second, Mr. Smurl. Okay. Everyone here? Good evening, everyone. Can we have a motion to return to public, please? Mr. Smurl, second, Mrs. Guerrero. All in favor?
Aye.
This is a public meeting of the Board of Education, Clark Public Schools. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with PL 1975, Chapter 231, and that a special notice was made in conformance with Section 13 of the Act. Can we rise, please, for the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. All right, at this time, we will take a nomination a motion for nomination office of president. Mr. Smurl?
Nominate Steve Dunkersluth for president.
Second.
We don't need a second, we just need one motion. Mr. Dunkersloot? Are there any other nomination for office of president? Seeing none, can we have a motion to close the nomination for office of president? Ms. Guerrero? All in favor?
Aye.
Nominations are now closed. We will now have a roll call on a nominated board member for President Steve Dunkersloot. Ms. Akalonis?
Yes.
Mr. Bensavinga?
Yes.
Mr. Breedy?
Yes.
Ms. Guerrero?
Yes.
Ms. Harrison?
Yes.
Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
And Mr. Dunkersloot. Motion carried. Be resolved by the Board of Education Township of Clark that Steve Dunkersloot is hereby elected President of the Clark Board of Education. Congratulations, Mr. Dunkersloot. We may now have a motion for nomination office of Vice President.
Nominate Thomas Lewis to be vice president.
Mr. May nominates Mr. Lewis. Are there any other nominations for office of Vice President? Seeing none, can we have a motion to close the nomination office of Vice President? Mr. Dunkersloot? Nominations are now closed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll now have a roll call vote on Board Member Thomas Lewis for member of Vice President. Ms. Akalonis?
Yes.
Mr. Bensavinga?
Yes.
Mr. Breedy?
Yes.
Ms. Guerrero?
Yes.
Ms. Harrison?
Yes.
Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
And Mr. Dunkersloot. Motion carried. Be resolved by the Board of Education, Township of Clark, that Thomas Lewis is hereby elected Vice President of the Clark Board of Education. Congratulations, Mr. Lewis. We will now move on. Board of Education members of the acknowledgement of receipt of Code of Ethics. Can we have a motion, please? Mr. Dunkersloot, second. Mr. Breedy? All in favor?
Aye.
Be resolved by the Board of Education, Township of Clark, that this Board of Education acknowledges receipt of the Code of Ethics for school board members, and each board member agrees to abide by the Code of Ethics. Ms. Akalonis? Yes. Mr. Bensavinga?
Yes.
Mr. Breedy?
Yes.
Ms. Guerrero?
Yes.
Ms. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
And Mr. Dunkersloot.
Yes.
Motion carried. Mr. Dunkersloot, if you like, thank you.
All right, so moving on, we'll do the approval of minutes for December. Motion? I see Mrs. Hickman, followed by Mrs. Harrison. Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Ms. Akalonis?
Abstain?
Mr. Bensavinga?
Yes.
Mr. Breedy?
Yes.
Ms. Harrison?
Yes.
Ms. Guerrero?
Yes.
Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Abstain.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
And Mr. Dunkersloot. Motion carried.
Thank you. At this time, we'll open the floor to the public for agenda items only. So if there's anything on the agenda that you'd like to come up and discuss, now would be the time. So agenda items only. Non-agenda will be at the end of the meeting. Seeing none, we'll move to the next section of personnel. We have items 1 through 14. Can I get a motion? Mr. Lewis, followed by Mr. Smorl. Questions or comments on those? Roll call. Mr. Lewis?
Yeah, I want to, basically, before we vote on, I just wanted to make an important point. We have Mary Jo Baker, who's on the agenda, and I want to personally, from the personnel side, more important, thank you for being the master teacher that you are. We had Jackie Capolet, Nancy Flug, yourself, along the way, some fantastic teachers at Henley School. So it would be remiss if I didn't say congratulations for all the students that you've touched and helped, and basically have a reputation of nurturing students and getting them on their way. We just finished up an executive meeting. We talked about the pre-K program. It all starts in the primary grades. if they get off to a good start, usually it's a pretty good finish. So I want to thank you for the work that you've done and the work that the elementary teachers do throughout our district. Congratulations on a job well done, Mary.
Yeah, I would just like to piggyback a little bit on what Mr. Lewis just spoke about. Mary Jo's taught in district for 27 years. In addition to knowing her as a teacher, she's been a close personal friend of our family, so I know Mary Jo very, very well. What I would say is first of all, she's had just a spectacular teaching career. She has demonstrated the ability to be a quality teacher within Henley. Her compassion for her students, her genuine love for her students, and the care that she demonstrated day in and day out never went unnoticed. In all the years that Mary Jo has taught in district, I never heard anyone have a negative comment to her about her as a teacher. So Mary Jo, congratulations on just a great career. Enjoy your retirement. Bob, you're going to have to, you got to watch yourself now. She's going to have a little more time on her hands. But again, congratulations, and we're extremely happy for you.
Take roll call on personnel 1 to 14. Ms. Akalonis?
Yes.
Mr. Bensavenga?
Yes.
Mr. Breedy?
Yes.
Ms. Harrison?
Yes.
Ms. Guerrero?
Yes on 2 and 14, and abstain on the rest.
Thank you. Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Abstain.
Mr. Smurl?
Assuming that we can't get Mary Jo back, yes.
Still noted. Mr. Dunkersloot? Motion carried.
Moving on, we have curriculum item number 15. Can I get a motion? I see Ms. Akalonis, followed by Ms. Guerrero. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Ms. Akalonis?
Yes.
Mr. Bensavenga?
Yes.
Mr. Breedy?
Yes.
Ms. Harrison?
Yes.
Ms. Guerrero?
Yes.
Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
And Mr. Dunkersloot? Motion carried.
All right, now we have board governance items 16 through 22. Can I get a motion? I see Mr. Bensavenga, followed by Ms. Akalonis. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Ms. Akalonis?
Yes.
Mr. Bensavenga?
Yes.
Mr. Breedy?
Yes.
Ms. Harrison?
Yes.
Ms. Guerrero?
Abstain on 19, 20, and 22, and yes on the rest.
Thank you. Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
And Mr. Dunkersloot? Motion carried.
And then finally, we have finance items 20 through 26. Motion by Mr. Smorl, followed by Mr. May. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ms. Akalonis?
Yes.
Mr. Bensavenga?
Yes.
Mr. Breedy?
Yes.
Ms. Harrison?
Yes.
Ms. Guerrero?
Yes.
Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
And Mr. Dunkersloot? Motion carried.
Thank you. And at this time, we'll hand it over to Mr. Grandy for the report of the superintendent.
Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year.
Good evening.
Congratulations, Mr. Dunkersloot, on your reelection as president and Mr. Lewis as vice president. Congratulations to Mr. Bensavenga and Mr. Smorl on your reelections. And Mr. May, welcome to our Board of Education. I'd also like to acknowledge the 9 years of good service that Mr. Scott Bohm gave to our Board of Education. He'll surely be missed. And welcome back Ms. Guerrero as our Garwood representative. On this evening's agenda, the return of camp convention was approved to run July 21st to 25th at a cost of $305 for each student entering grades 1 to 6 in September. This is a STEM-based camp that Mrs. Torella, our grades K to 5 G&T teacher, offers each year, and we're excited for it to be returning again. Just as we flip the new calendar, we're also looking forward to next school year already. Out of Mr. Vizuzzo's office, with immense guidance from the Finance Committee and input from our administrators and staff, the budgeting process has begun. And at ALJ, our program of studies, revisions were approved this evening. Many thanks to the ALJ administrative and counseling teams led by Mrs. Oliveira and Mr. Amendola, who are with us this evening. Mary Jo, Just simply put, you have the hugest heart for kids. Thank you for your 27 years of service, and the Clark schools will not be the same without you, especially Henley School. Thank you. And also on this evening's agenda, we're accepting the retirement of Mr. Pollock. 9 years with us in the Clark schools, first as a security officer, then security director, but many, many more years beyond that 9 with the Clark Police Department. Thank you, Mike, also. And thank you, everyone, and have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you, Mr. Grandy. At this time, we'll do the report of the committees. We'll do unfinished or new business. Seeing none, Aiden, we'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, and good evening. I'll begin my report with events at Arthur L. Johnson. It was an eventful month in December, with a lot going on before winter break. Johnson musicians put on a fantastic winter concert, which definitely explained why their trophy cabinets are so full. On December 19th, there was a breakfast held for AP scholars, who are students who have achieved high marks on several AP exams. With that said, I'd like to thank Mr. Lewis for his inspiring words at the event and for his awesome Johnson apparel. Finishing the month, we had our winter pep rally, and students had the opportunity to wear festive apparel before we closed for break. Moving on to Comp and their plans for January. Following winter break, Comp students are off of break with a quiet month. Comp's Science Olympiad team is competing at NJIT on January 8th. This team competes on all sorts of STEM problems with other schools. And despite the fact that it seems like the year just started, second marking period is already coming to a close at Comf, ending on January 30th. Finally, a reminder for any 8th grade parents at Comf that they must complete their child's diploma card by January 24th. Looking back at December with Henley, it was also a busy month. In the lead up to break, families came together to make snow globes that decorate the hallways. Alongside this, students had the opportunity to get comfy and cozy by wearing pajamas to school, all while sharing hot chocolate provided by the PTA. Santa even dropped by during this event and sang to several classes. Finally, Henley also had their winter concert, which gave 4th and 5th grade choirs and bands a chance to show off their hard work. The same applies to the Valley Road bands, who had their fantastic winter concert last month as well. Both classes and staff had an opportunity to relax and have some fun before break, with the PTA holding a staff holiday lunch and class parties in December. The Valley Road PTA also held a magic show on December 20th, which kept students guessing on how the tricks were performed. That concludes my report for December and January. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Everything, Mr. Lewis?
Yeah, I just wanted to, obviously, you touched on something. For the National Honor Society, I want to thank the high school administration, the principal, vice principal, and basically Jessica Kyle. This is fantastic to have the induction at basically Shakamaxon Country Club. I think that's fantastic to really honor new Honor Society students off campus. Great idea. I think this is the beginning of something real good. So I want to thank you guys. This is good stuff. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Yes.
I just also want to say a big thank you to our performing arts, our music teachers from the elementary buildings, mostly because I don't know many, there's lots going on in the month of December with holidays, and our music and band teachers showed up to a community event, for the tree lighting, and I just think that's amazing that our kids get the opportunity to not only perform here in our schools, but for the community and other events, and I know that that was on their own time, and I commend them, and I thank them for all that they do for the students, and I did want to just bring that up really quick.
Thank you, Ms. Harrison. Anybody else? All right, so seeing no other comments, we'll move on to opening the floor to the public for any non-agenda items. So if you have anything you'd like to discuss, now would be your time. You come to the podium, state your name, your address.
They'll straighten you out.
27 years, I've spoken in front of you guys. Good evening. Mary Jo Baker, 33 Deerwood Drive. I'd like to thank the board for giving me the opportunity to work for over 26 years for the Clark School District. I will hold the memories of all the children that I have taught and also for all the friends that I have made along the way. And I will hold them close to my heart. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Anybody else? Any other comments? Okay. Please state your name and your address for the record, and you have 3 minutes in comments.
Bill Draghi, 47 Post Road, Clark, New Jersey. I'd like to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. Well, it seems like President Trump is going to, he said on day one he's going to change the LGBTQ requirements in the schools. He's not going to go along with parents not having control of their children's sex, which is terrible. The law which Governor Murphy started. And by the way, I don't know, I can't see why Governor Murphy is still, he's governor, but you people have a lot of control with your unions, NGEA and the National Education Association. I think a lot of your monies probably helped put him into office. And I wish you would somehow get away from supporting these candidates that are doing such terrible things, like forcing parents to allow their children, to not allow the parents that don't want their children to have a sex change, according to Murphy's Law, they have to allow it if the child wants it. In other words, if the state is making the child the one in control of this, he can't even have an aspirin in school, and yet he can have a sex change without his parents' permission. That's what Governor Murphy is saying. That has to be done. That's the law. Well, that's going to be changed shortly, probably. He said day one. President Trump said on day one, I'm going to change that. Now, maybe he's exaggerating a little bit, but it's definitely not going to be an important thing in the future. Which means the other part of Jersey, of Murphy's Law, teaching abortion things to the students. That's another part of his law. That should definitely not be done either. Teaching maybe the kids in the school to have condoms or how to use them, or to use birth control pills, which actually, according to my church, it's murder. Some abortion birth pills, because after the sperm meets the egg, it does kill the living thing in there, the living person. So that's a murder. And if they're going to be teaching things like this in the school that Governor Murphy wants to be done, that would be terrible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. J.G. Anybody else? Questions or, comments from public? All right, so seeing none, we'll close that portion of the call, or of the meeting. At this time, can I get a motion to adjourn? Mr. Smorl, Ms. Guerrero, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. 3 minutes are up. What? Ms. Guerrero.